Okay people, this hands down might have been the darkest episode of the Boruto Naruto Next Generation's anime thus far. I mean, we've had some stuff go down, we've had a few things that you could argue is like, yo, that was pretty dark, man, some messed up stuff happened, but with Boruto Naruto Next Generation's episode 192, the backstory of Kawaki, how he was as a child, what happened, his father, it was dark, it was messed up to watch, it was hard, especially for me in particular, as a parent, as a father, it was tough for me to watch. Like, already just anybody in general, if you have any sort of conscience, if you have any sort of, like, you know, emotions and morale, you would look at this episode and be destroyed. But me in particular, as a parent, as a father, watching this, I was just upset in so many different fashions. Like, looking at this dude, Kawaki'S blood pops, I was just like, you disgusting pile of crap. Like, I had to go and hug my daughter after watching this episode, because just seeing this episode and seeing the young Kawaki and all the trials and tribulations he had to go through, it was tough. It was really like, wow, you know, especially if you look at the Boruto anime and you think back of like how many of those episodes and in general how, like, if you just think of the perception, most people look at the Boruto anime, or at the very least before, I want to say the Karo activation, as, oh, you know, kiddie, it's very like aimed towards a younger demographic, younger audience. So you go from that to this that felt very, very real. Like, that was the thing I feel like made it even darker. It made it even more like hard to watch. The fact that these are situations that there's probably a kid somewhere right now as I'm recording this video, as you're watching this video, going through the same exact situation. So them adding that element of realism of things that go on in the real world, yeah, it was hard to watch. Without further ado, people, let's just break some of this stuff down. Kawaki's past and the parallels of a bad father, a worse father, and then potentially a good father that the episode ended with. Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Okay, so before we even get started regarding the story and things that happen in the episode, I gotta give a round of applause for the art director, the animation director, in particular though the art, because animation, it was good. There was a lot of fluid scenes. I'm like, yo, they're going the extra mile. They're adding extra pieces of animation just to like show off, almost like little pieces that you could catch, like, oh, Kawaki's walking a little more and they're showing extra scenes and things like that. But then the art, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was the same style as one of the final episodes of the Urashiki arc, where it was just like really, really detailed, like, holy cow, looking kind of realistic to a certain degree throughout the episode. I was like, wow, a lot of the close-ups of Kawaki's face when he's distraught about the bad things happening and shit. Like, whoever is, I want to say it's actually, his name is Koda, if I'm not mistaken, the anime director for this particular episode. Bravo, kudos. The episode, even as dark and tragic as it was, there was a lot of really gorgeous scenes. He made Kawaki, especially as a child, look just great. Like, the episode as a whole, visually, it looked amazing. So major props to Koda, the director of the episode, and Studio Pierrot, because if I'm not mistaken, this was done in-house by Studio Pierrot. They did a phenomenal job artistically. And also really appreciated the symbolism that was used in this episode, the goldfish, how it was kind of mentioned throughout the arc, where that trafficker, which really dark stuff we're gonna get into, was talking about like, oh, there's goldfish, and how Kawaki kept on seeing goldfish every time he was walking. He almost felt like a fish trapped in a bowl, so to speak, because of his situation. Because in essence, Kawaki was being abused by his father. His father was a drunk. A certain element that they added in the anime that wasn't in the manga was the fact that Kawaki's father was a drunk, and he changed because of the war. Like, I want to say it was the fourth Great Shinobi War. Whatever happened, it changed him from he was a decent person, I'm imagining, to he is an absolute scumbag here. He's using his son basically every day. His son got to work hard to bring him alcohol, to get him drunk, essentially. And it was hard to watch, honestly, seeing him being bullied, little Kawaki bullied by kids in the village, having to bust his ass, and then when he broke the bottle of alcohol and shit, I was just like, this is horrible. Because again, it's very realistic. This stuff happens all the time in the world. There's kids that are going through this type of really messed up shit right now. So for them to put something like this, a situation like this, in the Boruto anime, that again, a lot of people say, oh, it's kiddie and shit like that, it's a stark contrast, to say the least. And also, this is what, in my opinion, is putting Kawaki on track to be, if he's not already a favorite of yours, he is going to be. Like, this is gonna make Kawaki a hands down fan favorite, because after watching the episode, I wanted to root for him. I was just like, yo, don't get me wrong, I already was a Kawaki fan. I feel like to a certain degree he's been carrying the franchise, the Boruto franchise as a whole, on his back for a while now, but I wanted to root for him even more, just seeing everything he went through, like, his father abusing of him, everything that was happening, and then on top of that, the trust issues you got to imagine he would have. And it also explains a lot more, because some people were like, yo, he was overreactive with Sumire and things like that. Well, look how many times he's been betrayed. Like, yo, he was betrayed by his father that was treating him like trash despite his devoted loyalty to him. Then on top of that, that guy that seemingly stopped the bullies and whatnot was actually just trying to trick him into basically human trafficking. And then Jigen buying him, because we got the introduction to how Jigen got his hands on him, which I think that wasn't in the manga as well. Nice touch that they added of Delta finding the blood napkin, because basically Kara was going around different villages trying to find a match for whatever their purposes is, and Delta was the one that actually discovered Kawaki. Very, very interesting stuff, and again, just something that was not present in the manga, so really cool addition. Then eventually at a given point, Jigen approaches the father, which kind of makes me wonder, like, I wonder why he played by the rules of bringing a big giant suitcase of money to Kawaki's father to actually buy him, opposed to just like going in there, killing the father and snatching the kid. I'm imagining it probably has to do something with him being the vessel and ultimately not wanting to disrupt him, because imagine how much it would have tormented this kid to see his father dead or see his father get killed. So maybe that's why in particular they didn't just rush in there and straight kill the father, and they bought him instead, which it was horrible and messed up as it was, because it was just a really bad situation in general. Kawaki had a bad upbringing, no matter how you slice it, between the father abusing of him, the people in the village bullying him, the person in the village that was trying to get him into human trafficking, then Jigen buying him from the dad, and the dad busting him up with a bottle in his head and shit. I was just like, what? The Naruto franchise as a whole has had some very, very messed up and tragic past for a lot of people. You go to Sasuke, Gaara, Naruto himself. Kawaki, add him in there because it's more on a realistic standpoint, opposed to like the other ones like Gaara having assassins after him as a little child and things like that. But nevertheless, it's still really messed up. And Kawaki, yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna really love this character and root for him moving forward, which it would make for such a great dynamic if certain things changed up. And like, honestly, it almost feels like Kawaki should be the MC. I don't know. That's just how I feel. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discredit Boruto. He's come a long way from the days of cheating at the Chunin exams or whatever, but this backstory, it hit real deep. And again, as a father watching this scene, what a piece of shit Kawaki's father was, I couldn't help but just be like, damn, I want Kawaki to win. And I love the ending of the episode too, because first you had, of course, his blood father that treated him like trash. Then you had Jigen that said, I'm your father now. And then at the end, they had a very similar scene, which was showing the parallels of Naruto, him waking up to Naruto in the hospital, and what a real father, what a good father is like. Like, you had your blood father that was bad, you had your foster father that was a piece of shit as well, and then you have a guy that who knows what he could be, because if you see the preview, he's talking about that he's going to be living with Naruto moving forward. So very, very interesting stuff, them showing parallels of parenting, and just in general, they did a phenomenal job with this episode. Like, it wasn't an action-packed episode. They didn't need to do all sorts of crazy, attacks and things like that, but it still very much so hit, and it was a phenomenal introduction, even further anyway, for the character of Kawaki. Curious what you guys thought about this episode though. How did you feel? Did you get emotional for it? For me, again, I have to reiterate, as a father, it really broke me up to see this. It really broke me up, and artistically it looked great. I love the symbolism, I love the visuals, the goldfish stuff, like all of it was just, they did a great job. And your overall thoughts and expectations for the Boruto anime with episode 193 and beyond. Kawaki, I think you just gained a whole new fan base after this episode, like crazy stuff. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yo, that episode, that was heartbreaking to say the least. Yeah. Shout out Studio Period one more time. Have an awesome one. What I know, so just go.